My name is Zoelle Stackhouse, and I'm the Special Assistant to the Deputy Chief of Staff of Mayor Muriel Bowser. Today, we are joined by the Chancellor of D.C. Public Schools, Dr. Louis Farabee, who will be providing an update on the Term 3 reopening of D.C. Public Schools. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that if you would like to ask a question at any time during the call, you can press 0 and you will be added into our speaker queue. And now, I'd like to turn it over to the Chancellor, Dr. Farabee.
Good evening. Thank you for joining this evening's TeleTownHall. We're pleased to focus on DC Public Schools and our reopening efforts, and I am pleased to be joined by members of our transportation community. We are joined by Chief Ron Pavlik of the Metro Transit Police. We're also joined by Teresa Ifestado, who is also a Chief Safety Officer for Metro. We have Tracy Foster, who is the Director of Community Service for Sales and Fare for Metro. And then we also have Kenneth King from the Office of the State Superintendent of Education, and he is the Deputy Director for Student Transportation. We have Yvonne Jones, who is a part of the Department of Transportation. And then we have from the Deputy Mayor Office of Education, Laura Harding. So as you can see, we have a full slate of experts who are helping us think through and plan for transportation as we expand reopening efforts. On our previous TeleTown halls, we had a number of questions about transportation to ensure, one, that all of our transportation modes are in line with our health and safety commitments, and also the infrastructure is in place for students to get to and from school safely. So as we begin this conversation, I think it's an important reminder of what our health and safety protocols are. And you can see on the slide our commitments, which include protective equipment, include face coverings, also includes our asymptomatic and symptomatic testing protocols, and we also have our Ask, Look protocol. It's important that families adhere to the Ask, Look protocol before students arrive on campus. This is one way that we can monitor for symptoms before students arrive at school. Once students arrive at school, we also have another screening procedure. Students, when they arrive on campus, before they enter the building or as they enter the building, are required to have a temperature check. We also do another round of symptom checks, and in addition to that, students receive a face covering if they don't have it, and then they also sanitize their hand and receive a bottled water for the day. Again, this is a part of our daily routine, and we again ask parents and guardians to drop off students at their designated locations in the morning so they can begin this process as soon as possible. So again, those are our health and safety commitments and our protocols for our daily operations. We're, again, pleased to have members of our transportation teams across the city who have been thought partners and also have reflected in their work many of the health and safety protocols I've just described. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the members of the transportation teams to highlight in greater detail their strategy and work to support DCPS families.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good afternoon, everyone. The Kids Ride Free program, which is a transit subsidy, was established by Mayor Muriel Bowser to support students in the district and make sure they can get to school and school-related activities for free on Metro Bus, Metro Rail, and the DC Circulator. The program eligibility is three-tiered. Students have to be residents of the district, they need to be between the ages of 5 and 21, and they also need to be enrolled in an elementary or secondary, public, charter, private, or parochial school located within the district, or youth in the care of the district. Last year, for school year 1920, over 50,000 unique Kid Ride Free cards were issued to students. The card design is unique each year. For 1920, the card was green, and for school year 2021, the card is blue. And we're looking forward to whatever surprise color we may have for the next school year. The cards are valid through September 30th of each school year. There's a little bit of overlap to allow time for the administrators to issue new cards to the students before their old card expires. We want them to not have to have a break in receipt of that transit benefit. The program offers cards completely free to students, and it's administered jointly with WMATA, OCTO, and DDOT. The cards are assigned and distributed to students at their schools, so they don't have to go far to get it. There are specially trained school ID administrators at every school, at least 2 per school, so that there's backup. And the students can go to their ID administrator and get a card. If they lose their card or if it's stolen, they can also get a replacement card, still for free, from that same school ID administrator. When they use the transit systems to travel, they must tap their card. It's not enough to be a student with khakis and a polo shirt on. If you have that card, you need to take it out of your backpack and tap it on the fare gate to enter the system. Really, really important. That helps us track usage of the program and helps us to make the program better year after year. So Kids Ride Free contributes directly to Safe Passage because it allows students to choose the mode of transportation that's going to best suit their needs. They don't have to think about the cost when making decision whether to take the bus or take the train. All of it is free, so they can do what's going to get them where they need to go in the best way possible. It also takes some of the worry away from parents because they don't have to be concerned with their students traveling with cash, needing to load money onto a card. It's already in there. It's already free for them to use. And again, if they lose the card, we replace it for free, so there's no cost to the students. If more information is needed about the Kids Ride Free program, please visit our program website, kidsridefree.dc.gov. And that page also has links to program brochures electronically in 6 different languages, and also to our frequently asked questions webpage. And now I'll pass the mic to WMATA.
Thank you, Yvonne. This is Tracy Foster, Director of Customer Service, Sales, and Fair Media from Metro, and we'd like to welcome students and parents to Term 3. We'd also like to thank the Chancellor and DCPS for this ongoing partnership and opportunity to discuss safety and student transportation initiatives at Metro. At this time, I would like to introduce my colleagues, Teresa Impastato, Executive Vice President and Chief Safety Officer, as well as Chief Ron Pavlik, to talk to you about some of the safety protocols underway at Metro.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to take a couple minutes of your time and detail the activities that Metro has undertaken and will continue to take in order to assure the safety and health and welfare of our customers. So beginning with the initial report of the novel coronavirus, Metro did step up our cleaning and disinfection efforts. We've continued to do so in alignment with the latest guidance from the CDC. On a daily basis, every piece of WMATA equipment is cleaned and disinfected utilizing an EPA-approved disinfectant that is shown to kill the coronavirus. Every bus, every train, every Metro access vehicle receives this cleaning and disinfection service. Additionally, throughout the day, common touch areas are cleaned and disinfected on a rotating basis. We also utilize electrostatic foggers, which allow us to coat surfaces that are not easily accessible, such as ventilation grating, as well as some of the vertical surfaces in our trains to ensure that we are killing any presence of the virus on any surface. We also clean our stations on a regular basis. On a daily basis, all high-touch surfaces of our stations are cleaned and disinfected. So all of our fare vending machines, upright stanchions, escalator handrails are all cleaned and disinfected on an ongoing basis. On a regular basis, we also perform deep cleaning of our stations. Our stations, when they are closed to the riding public, receive a thorough cleaning and disinfection through third-party vendors who will make sure that every surface is appropriately cleaned and has a thorough application of disinfectant. Understanding that throughout the course of our service day, multiple individuals enter and exit the system, we also maintain the capacity for spot cleaning and disinfection. If we receive a report of an individual who displayed some type of COVID symptoms or a report of an individual who was ill, we have the capacity to perform on-the-spot cleaning and disinfection services. If we receive a report of contamination of any of our equipment, that equipment is promptly removed from service and replaced with additional equipment that we have on ready standby. Our buses are equipped with a barrier system that separates our bus operators from our passengers. This serves both as a protective measure for the event of bus operator assault, but also serves to keep our bus operators out of the general passenger area within the bus. We do also monitor in real time crowding conditions through the usage of our CCTV system in our stations, as well as through an online application utilizing our fare counters on our buses. And we have the ability to receive reports from staff throughout the system if there are crowding conditions, so that we can spot in additional surplus service to reduce the crowding and permit our passengers to appropriately socially distance. Metro has spoken at length with regard to our phased recovery plan, and I wanted to take a moment to note that we are currently on the cusp of the managed reentry and recovery phases of our plan. We have ramped up service in advance of demand and will continue to monitor the demands for service. We maintain the capacity to add additional service if we observe that there are crowding conditions or if we observe that ridership patterns warrant additional service through any periods of the day. As treatments and the vaccine become more widely available throughout the region, we anticipate continuing to restore service as economic activity throughout the region returns. We've also been working very closely with a number of academic partners and leaders within the industry with regard to research and design practices to augment the existing practices for cleaning and disinfection, which we intend to maintain indefinitely. We are working to perform some pilot projects, partnering with some grantees to enhance the filtration on our rail cars and also experiment with the use of UVC lighting. We already have in place enhanced filtration throughout our bus system, and we're working with our bus manufacturers to continue to explore potential augmentation of our bus filtration systems with UVC lighting. Additionally, we do offer throughout the system access to hand sanitizer in our rail stations and major bus terminals, as well as outfitting our buses with single package disposable surgical masks. So in the event that somebody does enter the Metro system and does not have a facial covering, there is a plentiful supply of facial coverings available for folks. Also, with regard to the Metro workforce, in addition to a number of mitigations and changes to our work practice, we also require that our staff maintain 100% compliance with the masking mandate. Metro staff are required to wear a facial covering that covers both their nose and mouth on a continuous basis, and we do regularly monitor our employee compliance with that. We also offer, approximately in 2-week cycles, mobile testing events for our workforce. Asymptomatic employees can receive free of charge a test for COVID-19. We've currently tested over 1,000 Metro employees and have found that our employee workforce has a relatively low, approximately 1.5% positivity rate with regard to our mobile testing. We are also working with the region in terms of coordinating vaccination for our workforce. So the vast majority of Metro workers are interested and excited to receive the vaccine, and are looking forward to improvements in the supply chain and accessibility of the vaccine. So we anticipate within the coming weeks, a high percentage of the Metro workforce will be vaccinated. So to wrap up my comments, I did want to reemphasize our commitment to safety. As you've seen, we've publicized all of the efforts that we're undertaking with regard to doing our part. We have messaging and signage throughout the system and are in regular communication with the CDC to ensure that we adhere to the latest guidance and identify any opportunities to enhance the safety of our system. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Chief Pavlik, who will talk with regard to Metro's response to the recent federal mandate for facial mask use.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Chancellor Farabee, for, one, bringing this group together, and two, give me the opportunity to speak to the citizens of the District of Columbia. As Teresa mentioned, there was a federal law, one of the first executive orders that President Biden signed. On January 29th, there was a presidential directive, a security directive through the Transportation Security Administration that gave guidance for anybody in public transit on steps they had to take regarding face coverings. And to kind of put this into context and perspective, the TSA administration issues security directives all the time. On the airline industry side, they've issued hundreds of directives since 9/11. When it comes to surface transportation, the last time TSA issued a security directive was in 2004, and that was right after the Madrid train bombings. So issuing security directives to surface transportation comes few and far between with TSA. The security directive gives guidance on what transportation owners or users have to follow in order to be in compliance with the directive. The directive went in effect, as I said, January 29th. It's in effect for 100 days and expires on May the 11th, or will be extended on May 11th. I won't go over the directive verbatim, but just kind of touch on some of the highlights. The first highlight I would emphasize is the directive states that a transportation provider can refuse transportation if an individual refuses to wear a mask. So what we're doing is compliance through cooperation. As Ms. Teresa mentioned, we have numerous opportunities for riders to pick up a mask while they're in the system. And what our officers have been guided to do is offer them a mask, make them aware of the federal mandate, and encourage them to wear a mask. The mandate also says if an individual refuses to wear a mask, you can forbid them entry into the public conveyance, whether it's a bus or rail, and you can also remove them from a public conveyance at the nearest opportunity if they refuse to comply. This is applicable to all modes of surface transportation, from mass transit, light rail, heavy rail, commuter rail, to include Amtrak. In the District of Columbia would include circulator buses, obviously the Metro buses, but intercity buses. The directive is very clear on who it's applicable to. To date, I'm pleased to report we've only had a handful of incidents that rises to the level of what they call security-related incidents. Part of the directive requires if a customer refuses to wear a mask or a security incident results by being told to wear a mask, we do have to make a notice to the federal government through a 1-800 number, which is staffed 24/7. And at some point in time, the federal government could follow up with that individual and fine them civilly. To date, we have 3 incidents where it resulted in a notification to the federal government since the directive went into effect on the 29th, and all 3 of those incidents occurred on one of our Metro buses. The only other thing I would like to highlight on, sir, is we are working with our marketing director, and we are working on a campaign that we hope to launch in the near future that's focused on our young riders. And there are snazzy posters that say, I wear a mask because I want to go back to school, or I wear a mask because I want to play sports again. And all these different slogans that are very applicable to and hopefully touch our young population as they return back to school and return back to some type of normalcy. So I'll pause there and I'll wait for the next slide with the
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for allowing OSSI to be a part of this town hall meeting, and to the school chancellor, thank you for the invitation. We're at OSSI, we have done our very best to prepare our staff and our students to have a safe and reliable ride back into and forth from school. And so the information that I'm going to give you, just know that you can go on RC website and hit the tab RC DOT, Department of Transportation, and you'll see that we have developed a bus safety kit, and that kit will further go into detail with some of the things that we've done. At the beginning of each day, staff are required to do the District of Columbia COVID-19 self-awareness screening form prior to entering the grounds. And if there are no issues, they are permitted on the grounds, and then they are permitted to do their trip. Staff must wear a face mask, but we also provide for them a face shield and gloves as well. But the requirement is that they must wear a face mask. Staff has received training as it relates to the proper use of PPEs and the proper disposal of PPEs. We've implemented a seating standard that is in a Z style, which starts from the left to the right, where every other seat is taken, which has reduced the number of students that we transport on any given bus on day to day. And this Z style allows us to ensure that there is never a crowded bus. Buses are cleaned every day. Buses are cleaned every day, and by these means. Each bus is equipped with sanitizers, where the attendant is required to wipe down the bus each and every day, and then at the end of the day, we use a bus electric static fogger, which further allows us to clean the bus and have it ready for the next day's transportation. What we ask parents to do is to talk with their children before boarding the bus. We ask them the importance that they of emphasizing to their child that wearing a mask is required, and while they're on the bus, they must wear a mask unless they have a medical condition which prevents them from wearing a mask. If they get to the bus and don't have a mask, we will provide them with a mask. We also ask the parents to also do a screening of their child, and if in fact they find that their children or their child are not prepared or healthy enough to attend school that day, that they keep them home and call the parent call center, which will alert us not to pick that child up on that day. We have provided 2 opportunities for our bus drivers and attendants to receive the vaccine. They've had 2 opportunities to do so, and I believe that our director is working on a 3rd opportunity. But we want to ensure that all who want to have a vaccine will receive a vaccine. However, it's on a volunteer basis. We are, in terms of, we maintain a clear line of communication. We meet regularly with DCPS leadership weekly, and we discuss whatever issues there are to discuss, and we are open to hearing whatever concerns that they may have as it relates to the health and safety of our children. Once again, if you need additional information as it relates to how we transport our children safely to and from school, please visit the website, Office of State Superintendent of Education website, and under that, go to the Department of Transportation, and you will see that we have developed a wonderful video as well as a pamphlet that talks about how we transport our children to and from school safely. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Laura Harding. I'm from the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Education. Thank you to Chancellor Fairby. I am really excited to be here to talk to our stakeholders and also to sit on this panel with our colleagues that we work closely with as we work to ensure that students
travel safely to and from school. Safe Passage is a Mayor Bowser initiative that works to ensure that student safety as they travel to and from school. We do this in a number of ways. First, we have identified 7 Safe Passage priority areas touching over 50 public schools, and in that way we partner with WMATA, MTPD, as well as DPR roving leaders, credible messengers, DYRS, and DPR to monitor student safety in those priority areas. We also conduct Safe Passage working group calls on a monthly basis and quarterly Safe Passage working group meetings. We work to train school leadership and staff in best practice protocols for arrival and dismissal. We have identified in 3 of our Safe Passage priority areas safe spots or organizations and businesses that are willing to be safe harbor locations for students if necessary. And we also promote man-the-block efforts to engage caring community members to be present along student safe passage routes. Currently, we've worked to ensure that we provide de-escalation training for our partners as well as conflict resolution skills, and we are working continuously to engage in deep violence prevention work with students that are most at risk. In some of the investments that the mayor has made as it pertains to Safe Passage is funding a pilot program of community watchers in the Minnesota Avenue area. We have convened citywide and community student Safe Passage hearings just to have students share their concerns around safety. We have provided Safe Passage technical assistance grants and a number of different trainings and initiatives to ensure that parents and students have various ways to travel safely to school. More recently, in school year 2021, we have supported the expansion of the One Leadership Academy to H.D. Woodson and Paul PCS, where they will not only provide out-of-school Safe Passage for students as they travel to and from school, but also in-school support to resolve any issues that may happen in addition to social-emotional support. And finally, we have a continued commitment, as we did in August of 2020, to provide Safe Passage professional development for schools and LEAs to be able to help them develop their own Safe Passage plans for their school community. As we know, times change in the district, the way students get to school change, and the challenges that students face as they get to school can be many. So the Safe Passage Working Group continues to do research, to be flexible, and to hear from our stakeholders about their needs so that we can respond and ensure that we can work with our partners to ensure their safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harding. This is Chief Pavligan. I just want to quickly highlight, as I have on the screen here, we have identified 12 priority stations that are listed right there, as well as 5 bus lines. I can't say enough positive things about the partnership we have with DCPS and the Metropolitan Police Department. You know, every day we participate in a conference call, which provides, real-time information and intelligence. So if something occurred at one of the DCPS schools, we can always adjust our resources to mitigate any incidents from occurring in any of our stations, as well as the Safe Passage stations. I am pleased to report, July of last year, we created a new bureau. It's the the Youth Services Bureau. And within that bureau, we created a unit that is just dedicated officers that are dedicated to youth engagement and youth services, similar to SROs that Metropolitan Police has in the school system. That unit is currently chaired by Sergeant McKinney, who's very familiar with Ms. Harding and her team and all the different efforts that are going on. So that unit is going to continue to work with DCPS as kids start returning to school, and we look forward to the opportunities to engage schools once they do return full-time. Thank you.
Thank you again to the entire transportation team from Metro, Kids Ride Free, Safe Passage. Also, thank you to the entire Metro team for not only the security efforts, but also the health and safety measures that are in place to ensure safe travel. And parents are always welcome to have students walk to and from school, and that is where Safe Passage can be a big resource. And then we also encourage families to carpool when they can to ensure safe arrival and dismissal and transitions. So with that, again, we thank our members of the transportation community for supporting our families and DCPS.
Alrighty, and we are just about at time, but we want to get to at least one question. The first question is going to come from Alex in Ward 5. Alex, your line is unmuted.
Awesome. So my question, currently OSSI staff members who drive our students with disabilities are only offered social distancing, extra cleaning, and the symptoms checklist to protect themselves and the students they serve. So two questions on this. My first is, when will OSSI staff members get access to COVID testing like the rest of DCPS staff members? And my second is, when will they begin to be contacted when a student they service, a classroom they service, or a school they service tests positive for COVID, as this currently isn't happening?
So if I understand your first question correctly, we've had, our bus drivers and attendants have had two opportunities to receive the vaccine. And we're working on a third opportunity, but they have had two opportunities to receive the vaccine for all of them. All of them, their names were turned into the Department of Health, and there was a clinic set up specifically for them. So that was, I think that answers your first question. The second question I didn't quite get. Can you repeat it, please?
She can't.
Yeah, I think the second question was around notifications of positive cases. All of our notification on any positive COVID cases in the DCPS school are included in our reporting on the DCPS Reopen Strong website by school. So anytime there's a question or there's additional need for information, families can find more, community members can find more information on that site.
And let me emphasize this, that once we receive information that anyone, as staff or student, has been tested positive, that we remove that bus out of circulation, and then there is a professional vendor that comes in and that provides a deep cleaning for that bus. So that bus is immediately removed out of rotation and is not put back into rotation until it has been thoroughly sterilized.
Thank you. And our final question of the evening is going to come from social media. The question is, are all bus routes back up and running, especially those that are near schools? This person thought that some were cut since ridership was down. So,
no, all buses all LEAs that are requiring students to have transportations are provided for. All routes are up and running, provided that the LEAs have done what they were supposed to do in terms of requesting transportation for the students.
And we may want to have Metro speak to Metro buses as well, because I believe the infrastructure currently supports any transportation needs for students to and from school.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chief.
No, you go ahead, Tracy. You're better equipped to answer that than I am.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add that we did enhance bus and rail service in August of last year, and we resumed front door boarding and fare collection in January of this year, January 3rd. If you want a complete list of what specific routes are available to customers, you can go to WMATA.com, and you'll be able to check there by performing a trip planner feature. But without knowing the specific bus routes, I wouldn't be able to pinpoint that. But that's a good resource that you can use to understand what buses and service availability exist. But we have ramped up service, and we did that again to meet the supply and demand as we move through our phased reentry stations.
thank you. So it looks like we've gotten through all of the questions that we've received this evening. So I'm going to pass it over to the Chancellor to wrap us up.
Again, I want to thank all of our colleagues for their support with transportation efforts, the Office of State Superintendent of Education, the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Education, DDOT, and also Metro for their support. As raised tonight, we'll continue to be in regular communication on any modifications or adjustments that need to be made. It is our commitment that our students will have access to safe and accessible transportation to get to and from school, as we've done in the past. Any students or families are in need of Kids Ride Free card, again, reminding you, please go directly to your schools. There is a point of contact at schools to provide those cards. And a reminder that all Metro accessible transportation options require face coverings, and there are daily disinfecting and cleaning protocols in alignment with the DCPS standards for health and safety, and those health and safety protocols are reflected in the work of the Office of State Superintendent of Education. We look forward to expanding our in-person opportunities as we ramp up more students in our buildings, and we appreciate all of our transportation partners in helping us do so.